Hey everyone, welcome. If you've ever looked at some of the amazing AI applications out there and thought, how do they actually build that? Well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and really demystify the whole process. So let's start with a problem I bet you've run into. You've got these incredibly smart large language models, right? But the second you try to ask them about your company's internal files or what's in your customer database, they have no idea. It's a super common frustration, and it's the exact problem we're going to solve today. So here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into that core data problem. Then, we'll look at the frameworks that are the solution. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of something called the RAG pipeline, and then see how that powers up intelligent AI agents. And finally, we'll compare some tools and get you ready to start building. Okay, so first up, let's put a name to this challenge. It's something called the knowledge cutoff. You have to think of a normal LLM as this brilliant genius who's read every public book and website in the world. I mean, they're incredibly smart, but they have absolutely zero context on your company's latest sales report, your internal policies in a PDF, or the live data sitting in your database. They're completely firewalled off from it.
So, how do we fix that? How do we connect that genius brain to your private world of data? Well, the solution is a really powerful idea called context augmentation.
And here it is, the acronym you need to know, RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. This is a total game changer, because instead of doing a hugely expensive retraining of the entire model, RAG lets you feed the model the exact right piece of your private data, right at the moment it needs it to answer a question. It's like handing that expert the one page from your secret report they need just in time. It makes your AI smart about your stuff.
And this is where tools like LangChain and Llama Index come in. They are the toolkits that make building these RAG applications actually possible. I like to think of them as a professional kitchen for an AI developer. They give you all the ingredients, the components, and the recipes you need to build these really sophisticated apps without starting from scratch.
Okay, so we've got the concept of RAG down. Now, let's pop the hood and see how the machine actually works. Let's break down what's called the RAG pipeline. You know, the whole complicated process really just boils down to three main steps. First, you load your data from wherever it happens to live. Then you index it, which is just a fancy way of saying you organize it so you can search it really fast. And finally, when a user asks something, the system queries that index to find the perfect context and generate a smart answer. Now, the absolute secret sauce behind that indexing step is something called vector embeddings. It's a wild idea. You basically turn all your text, your documents, your data, into a series of numbers that capture the meaning of the text. This is what lets you do a semantic search, so you can search for how much money did we make, and it can find a paragraph that says our total earnings were, even if the word money isn't in there. It's searching for concepts, not just keywords.
All right, so answering questions from documents is amazing. But believe it or not, that's just the beginning. We can use this foundation to build something way more powerful. AI agents. An agent is a massively beyond a simple chatbot. Think of it more like an autonomous employee. You give it a high-level goal, and the agent itself uses its reasoning ability to figure out a plan, pick the right tools for the job, and then execute the steps to get it done.
So what kind of tools can these agents use? Well, anything, really. A tool could be a web search, access to a database, the ability to call an API, or even another RAG pipeline you built. So you could ask an agent, how did our latest sales numbers compare to our top competitors' stock performance this week? The agent would figure out, okay, I need to query our internal sales database, then I need to use the web search tool to get the stock price, and then I can put it all together in a summary. Some can even be designed to pause and ask a human for approval before they take a really critical action.
Okay, as you get deeper into building this stuff, you're going to start hearing about another really key distinction, and that's the difference between a framework and a runtime. And this is just a classic trade-off you see in all of software. You know, do you want something that's super simple and helps you get started fast, or do you need ultimate power and fine-grained control over every single detail?
So a framework like LangChain is brilliant for getting up and running quickly. It's got all these handy abstractions and integrations so you can build stuff fast. But for those really complex, long-running agents that need to remember conversations and be super reliable, you'll probably want a runtime like LangGraph. It gives you that low-level, granular control you need for serious production-grade systems.
All right, we have covered a ton of ground here. So let's bring it all home and boil it down to the absolute must-know takeaways from all of this.
So if you only remember a few things, make it these. First, The real magic, the real value, is when you connect these powerful general models to your specific data. Second, RAG is your best friend. It is the fundamental pattern you need to know to make that connection happen. Third, when you want to go beyond just Q&A, you build agents, apps that can reason, plan, and actually do things with tools. And finally, the absolute best way to get started is with frameworks like LangChain and Llama Index. They are the building blocks that let you bring all these ideas to life.
And that's it. Now it's really over to you. We've gone all the way from the core problem to the big idea that solves it, and even to the specific tools you can download and use right now. This technology is here, it's powerful, and it's more accessible than ever. The only question left is, what problem are you going to